my next question is for Melissa to walk us through that external view. What did you actually look at? And what story did it tell you at that point?
Yeah, so like you said, we had to look outward before we could look internally. And really the first step was, what tools do we have? I mean, we were doing the HMDA reporting. That was part of our requirement. The information was going out, but nothing was being done with it. And then you have to ask, well, okay, that tells our internal story, but how do we look when we're compared to our field of membership, when we're compared to the outlying market areas, when we're compared to our peers? So with all of that, internally, we had a leader who found HMDAVision and allowed us to really get in there and slice and dice all of our information. We sort of started asking ourselves all these questions. If we were an examiner or a regulator or a journalist who had access to this data, what questions would we want to know about our institution? And honestly, the more questions we asked, the more questions we wanted to ask. We just kept going down this rabbit hole. You ask one question and it just unraveled, 5 or 6 more. But you could, whatever you wanted to know based off that data, you could find out: geography, majority minority census tracts, application flows. What's your fallout rate? What's your fallout rate compared to a peer in that same area? Why are they doing a little bit better in certain pockets? What are we doing differently? You can look at denial patterns. Is there something that reveals itself in those patterns? Is there a certain class of people? Is there a certain area where maybe denials are a little bit higher? So we were able to just really get a great holistic view on not only ourselves, but the areas that we were currently in, areas that we were looking to move into, which is a huge factor when you're talking about growth and expansion. And you want to make sure that you're doing it strategically and that there's nothing that, where are you putting a branch? Where are you closing a branch? Certain things like that are all going to come into play. And so having an understanding of what that market looks like was a huge part of the beginning steps there.